wonderful. Joining us, Lottie, for a second night in a row. And you're in the UK, right now?
I am, yes, yeah.
What time of day is it there?
It is midnight, so we are in a new day.
Okay, so we will keep this to a tight 30 and let you go to sleep. So thank you very, very much.
No worries. I'm really enjoying vicariously living through both evenings. I'm obsessed with the menu and the concept, so it's a pleasure.
Did you see the pasta? I just got my food.
I didn't see the pasta. I saw the croque and bouche last night.
I will. Okay, my lovely assistant Danielle is bringing me. Is bringing me my puttanesca. I kind of murdered it a little bit, but it's very good.
As one should.
Let me see if I can show you. Pasta.
Oh, yum. Also, it's now the time of night where it's like I could eat dinner again. So I'm really into that.
There's always room for second pasta dinner in my book. Pasta breakfast also I'm a fan of. Pasta at any time. Anywho, I guess we'll dive right in. Like I said, since we want to keep it to a tight 30, so you can go off to bed. So I'll just you have been given the questions ahead of time. We do have some questions that we solicited from the group. I would like to dive right into the most requested question, which I think will come as no surprise to you. Just around, what either what Kit actually did, or really talk to us about the decision to keep that from the reader.
I can always sense the tone of an event if that's the first question on the bill. So yes, the mystery of Kit's betrayal. It was a very deliberate intent on my behalf to shield that content from the reader. So I'll take you back to the beginning because it's a good place to start. I wrote Piglet as part of a creative PhD, and my research was looking at satisfaction cycles and specifically how they interact with the concept of disclosure in food-centric fiction. So Piglet is the kind of my creative response to those academic questions. And I was looking at whether different forms of satisfaction can be offered in place of confessional content, and trying to experiment with how satisfying that might be for a reader. And it will probably come as a surprise to no one that I, as a reader, really like to be dissatisfied in the finish of something. I like loose ends. And a glutton for punishment. So that's the kind of setup of how Piglet came to be, and my thinking when I was writing. And I did try drafting a few versions of the novel where I suggested something that had happened, and I found that those drafts were no better, and I actually found them to be demonstrably worse than the blank space that I left on the page. And I am so much more compelled and so much more interested by the collaboration that I can have as a writer with every reader that comes to Piglet and every mind that comes to the page, because each person will have a slightly different version of the story and their betrayal in their mind, or what they think Kit had done. I'm interested in that kind of creative work that in that way, and I find that so much more interesting. On another note, I feel like if the book ends with a description of what has happened or transpired between Kit and Piglet, it becomes less of a story about examining a way in which a woman starts to use her body in a way that feels powerful and maybe reclaim a sense of self. Not always that power is a positive thing in terms of well-being, but in terms of literally reclaiming power, it becomes more of an exercise of judging someone, judging Piglet specifically, and how she has reacted to Kit. And I wasn't interested in that being the sentiment and the energy of the book in the end.
Thank you. Sorry, having to do some shuffling with my mic and my muting so that we're not hearing, we're not picking up too much kitchen noise. Yes, that, I think, first of all, the discussion that we had here definitely reflects, I think, your intention and pulling it off well. Because we normally, we kick off every book club with a poll of how you liked or disliked the book, and then launch into, okay, why did you like it? Why didn't you like it? And it's always, it's sometimes pulling teeth, especially with a book that people really like. And the vast majority of people really liked your book. Even the people who were less on it had wonderful things to say about it. It was this sticking point that drove the conversation. And I have to tell you, as a facilitator of conversation, it was very it was wonderful. So thank you for doing that. And I think it really came across well that the giving us the answer pulls it away from what our protagonist needs to be going through almost. And so that, like, as several people have made the point throughout the evening, that it doesn't matter what he did, because all we're in Piglet's perspective, and it matters that it matters to her. I will say we did come up with some good theories, though.
That has been the pleasure of this whole book, is in meeting readers and discovering the theories. What was going on in the room?
So one of the most compelling, I think, was one of the ones we heard at the end, which was that Kit tells Piglet that he's infertile. Right?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was trying to think that it was something, I was trying to think away from infidelity. And so I was thinking maybe he has something to do with why Darren can't get work. And that feels like, and that's a big betrayal. There was one that, that he was closeted and with Seb, or not closeted, but pining after Sophie. Those were most of them, right? Yeah, I think that was it. Apparently last night.
Creative readership. I have been surprised by the amount of people that think it's murder, and I have it sounds very judgmental, but I really enjoy seeing where people's moral compass lies in the discussion, because it's fascinating, because it is such a personal question. Like, when do you leave? Like, when is enough? When is it too much? And I think that also really matters at what point in our lives that information might come, betrayal information. Because Kit confesses 2 weeks before the wedding, does that make her stay, or is it, would she have gone at a different time?
Yeah, it was very, very interesting to see what people thought. So you touched a little bit on this in answering the first question, but can you talk us through a bit of the research that you did for this book?
Yes, yeah. So the thesis I was doing was kind of the first draft of Piglet, and what I call the commercial novel, the one that people have in their hands, is slightly different. But the research was really underpinned by what I was doing for my PhD, and some of that was critical. So lots of reading about various food writing for me. I really struggled. What a hardship. But perhaps my favourite piece of the research was what I, in a very tongue-in-cheek way, call method writing. And that was, I cooked all the recipes alongside Piglet when I was writing them. So the Puttanesca was probably my favourite, and my least favourite, will become a surprise to no one, was a croque en bouche, because the struggles in that chapter, Piglet and I share. I did stop short of a glue gun, because I thought, no, no one needs to eat glue. But I found this quote method writing a really useful way to kind of slip into her shoes, and I found the best way of doing that was via her saucepans.
Thank you. I am I'm very glad you didn't try to feed anybody glue.
Yes. That's number one, right? Of feeding people, don't feed them glue.
Okay, well, I will feel very safe when you inevitably invite us over for dinner. Um, um, can you? Oh, so we are at 7:40. Okay. Just want to see which one I want to go to. Yeah, let's. Can we talk a little bit about Piglet's family and both Piglet and Franny's relationship, as well as their parents. Although I did want to shout out a point that Danielle, our marketing manager, who's here, on the murder point. The fact that her dad says every marriage goes through. So probably not murder. I think because of that, unless things are just very different. Darby is very violent.
I wouldn't say to the point where murder is on the scale of acceptability, but like I say, it's come up several times. So I'm just like, maybe, who am I to make, I don't know, well, I'm a person in the world to make a judgment of what's appropriate in a life, not murder, may I put on the record.
I don't think anyone's
yeah.
going to cancel you for you saying that murder is like a bridge too far in most relationships.
You think I'm okay?
But anyways, so Piglet and Franny and her their family's relationship. Yeah, what inspired their dynamic?
I think I am a person that has a sibling, and specifically a sister, and I am endlessly inspired by the sibling relationship and the familial, actually, as a whole. I think it's such a fruitful. I'm sorry, the food puns are completely unavoidable with this book. Try and do a bit of bingo as I'm talking. We should give out a prize. It's such a fruitful dynamic to explore. I think all writers feel that to a degree with the family, and for Franny and Piglet specifically, where there is this close understanding of their familial history and their familial present, but such a difference in circumstance and a difference in the way the world is approached. I just found that to be really true. That felt very truthful to me as a position that siblings can get to, where they can be so knowing and exchange like an eye roll of like our parents are up to their usual rubbish, or whatever it is, but then also be in such different places. I'm really interested in that texture between the two siblings, and um, as someone who adores their sister, just mind all the good stuff from that relationship as well.
I also have to say that just not only because of your accent, but because of the your diction is so much better than how I think any American would say that. Like it would be, oh yeah, mom and dad are on their same bullshit. We should all take a cue from you for that. I'm just skipping through because you actually answered a few of these other questions. I think it's very sweet and cute and funny that Savannah wanted to know what your favorite color of Le Creuset is. Do you have a favorite color of Le Creuset?
It was a hard question because they have such a wonderful range.
Pantone.
Yeah, I quite like the dramatic kind of scale. So I like a cream, but also quite like a black. And I was being told last night that there's like a Le Creuset sale near you, and you can get it for like 25-75% off. And I was like, do I come to Charleston for the sale? Like, that's justifiable, right?
All right, you're going to be at the. Oh well, I guess that it doesn't coincide with the Charleston to Charleston Literary Festival, does it?
Which is rude. They haven't organised that for me, I know. But yes, I will be in Charleston in November, which I can't wait.
Okay, well maybe we can try and keep send you a sale list, and then we can send a picker for you, perhaps.
I feel like you're my people.
Yeah, food and food accessories are definitely our love language. So you mentioned that you cooked all of the meals alongside Piglet. The restaurants that are mentioned in the book, are they real or are they fictional?
Some of them are real and some of them are fictional, and the delineation between the two is that the restaurants that Piglet eats in when she's having crises moments are fictional. So I wanted these places to feel, if you were familiar with the geography, to kind of feel like these are almost portals into the unknown and the fractious and the unreal and the unstable. So it's, I suppose, a kind of little Easter eggs for anyone that is intimately familiar with the restaurant landscape of London and Oxford. Um, so yes, some are real, some are not.
That would be a very fun tour to set up. You should definitely partner with a bookstore or somebody to set up a Piglet eat and read along, I guess, tour of Oxford and London. I would go on it. I've already, I would absolutely pay good money to go do that.
Well, when you're in London or Oxford, you let me know and we'll go together.
No, I mean, I have a whole ass little cousin that I haven't met yet that lives in London.
Actually, a young person.
Yes.
That made me sound so British, didn't it? A young person, was it?
Yes, it's my cousin. She has children, and they're really more like niece nephew age. Rex and Remy, if you're watching this, go. You should. Too young to watch this. Anyways, yes. So I will take you up on that when I go finally. Meet Little Mermaid. Okay. I did not know you were a board game designer. So sorry to step away from the book for a little bit, but can you tell us about being a board game designer? Because like you are the perfect woman. You are a writer, a cook, and like you love food and you love games. And I want to know more about this part of your life.
Can I have you on speed dial when I'm feeling a bit insecure? That would be great. Yeah, it's a really wonderful and actually, as someone who's in the middle of a game design right now, really challenging pursuit and an interesting one to do. Two creative kind of outputs alongside one another, which has its own challenges because I tend to be quite monogamous to a creative project. So writing and board games sometimes fight in terms of how much kind of creative energy I can give them. But it is a really wonderful way to think about storytelling in a different way and user experience. And I think that's the thing that I'm most interested in all the items that I create is making something that is of interest in the experience. And only after Piglet was published, someone said, "Oh, well, I'm guessing they feed into each other in a way," and I hadn't really comprehended that at all. But I think they must do, and they clearly do, because in a way I think Piglet feels like a game or gamified in the reading, where there feels like a level of anticipation.
I'm now just trying to think about like what that game progression would look like. What is your what
Terrifying.
would you say is like one of your favorite games that no one knows about?
It depends who you're talking to, because if you are talking to someone that knows their board games, the knowledge can run very deep. So does anyone who's there tonight know of a game called Wingspan? It's normally a good kind of barometer.
I know about Wingspan. We've got some hands. Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
Okay, it is a beautiful game. So so if you know about Wingspan, then I feel like my favorite game would be maybe Scythe. Does anyone know Scythe?
Scythe, like SCY. Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody know about Scythe? Okay. Oh, we've got some people who know about Scythe.
Yeah. This is the true intersection of my audiences. Yeah, so probably Scythe, which is a heavier. It's actually by the same publisher as Wingspan. But yes, a heavier, more strategic game, but is very beautiful, set in kind of an alt history 1920s world. But what potential with storytelling? Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh my gosh! If we ever somehow do another book, so we do a subscription box for this book club, and if we ever have the opportunity to redo Piglet in another venue, I will absolutely 100%, depending on the price of the paperback when Piglet goes to paperback, combine it with Scythe. That's a great idea. I'm definitely gonna look that up. We're a board game crowd. We don't have room to sell board games in the bookstore, unfortunately, but Man, I love a board game. I have a friend group chat that is called Board Game Baddies. So you have
Great. What do
absolutely
the
found
board game baddies like to play?
well, being as I have a toddler, I don't actually get to go to board game nights that often anymore. Thank you. Here's our little profiterole. Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, the second night I've seen a crockabouche and not had any, I feel bereft.
We'll try. I think I see the. Oh, I think I see it. Yeah, the cockroach is yonder. I can't see all of it, but we'll try and get a picture to you. We play. Let's see here. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a haunted mansion role playing game.
Mansions of Madness?
But I think we betrayal, and then what was the one you said?
Mansions of Madness.
I think I played that. I played both of those, and then the boys like to play Dominion. I can't stand it. It's just I just can't pay attention long enough to like get everything straight. You have to really pay attention to Dominion to play it. I'd say those are the big ones in the wingspan. And then we like to keep it pretty low key with what's the one with the secret agents? Code names. Yeah,
Oh,
like
I love
really
code
basic.
names. Kind of stressful code names.
Oh, I'm so good at it.
Are you? I like to think I'm really good at it, and then I play with my husband and I play on the same team. It's like, do we know each other? Why are we married? What is this?
One of my favorite stories. My husband, our one of our favorite games to play amongst family is catchphrase, and he has his late uncle. His name was Jim, and he had a very colorful life that involved some prison time, and an airplane was involved. There, it was a lot. He was a colorful character, but we got onto this vibe where he could say like 3 words and it would be about like some drug run he was on, and I would somehow be able to intimate the clue from
Wow.
that, having never met him. It was
This
like
is the teammate you need for code names. Someone with so many stories they have. They can link into all the words.
yeah. Rest in peace, Jim. I miss you. Okay. Anyways, so we are encroaching upon the end of our time. Have you? Uh, yeah. What were you reading, or were there any authors that you were inspired by while you were writing Piglet? We'll bring it. We'll step away from the board games and come back to your actual book that we are here to discuss today.
Pleasure to meander with you. I am always reading. I find it strange when writers say they can't read when they're writing because I'm like, that's like not eating. I feel compelled all the time to be doing both. Um, and I was reading at the time other fiction that was concerned with either depicting food in a way that was spiky and not positioning particularly female protagonists as a kind of benign good in relation to food. And so books that spring to mind that do that really well are Supper Club by Lara Williams is great for that. There's a book called The Harpy I don't know if it's published in America. Actually, I really hope and assume that it is. But The Harpy by Megan Hunter is really wonderful on the domestic and that intersection with food and the self. But I also really like reading this. These two were not at the time. These two are more recently. Sorry. But whenever someone talks to me about favorite books, I have to mention it because it feels compelled forth. But for my body, how obsessed I am with Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Anything that Anne Patchett writes, and so I also really love reading authors that I'm just inspired to write when I read their work. They're not necessarily books that I feel are in conversation with Piglet, but are um, writers that make me want to create myself.
Those are, oh, did I turn it off? Those, I did not turn it off, but it is not working. Those are always some of my favorites to read as well. Would your would you, the answer to the last question, I might be similar, in which case we can close out soon, but is there anything you've read lately that you would recommend?
Yes, I just finished Department of Speculation by Jenny Offal, and was just amazed. Another author who I'm just amazed at how she crafts the work. For anyone who hasn't read it, it's a very slim novel about motherhood and a marriage, and is so deft at eliding and elapsing time. I just, when it's almost like a magic trick, and you're like, how have you done that? And I'm looking for the seams of like, where has the metaphorical dove gone of this work, which I really enjoyed. And I'm currently reading In Memoriam by Alice Wynne, which I'm really enjoying as well. That's about, it's a piece of World War fiction, and I'm not really a historical fiction reader in the main, but a relationship is so much at the heart of it. It's really compelling, and I'm enjoying being in it.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to see if I can get this to work. Maybe, yes. Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And before you come to Charleston, if you want any restaurant recommendations, as you know, Charleston is very much an eater's city, and there's some really great spots up in our neck of the woods, North Charleston, a little bit farther away from where you'll be downtown. So definitely let us know if you'd like some off the beaten
yes,
path
please.
recommendations. We will be happy to help you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go to bed, and thank you for joining us.
I don't need telling twice, but it was such a pleasure to join you, and thank you for having me, and for reading and for eating. It all feels very flattering and exciting.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Everybody say bye.
Bye.